This is episode 10.
Double digits!
I know, of knitting. So let's hope we can do a really nice intro after we've been, this is our 10th time. I'm Petra.
And I'm Natasha.
And today we're coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts.
Yeah, I know it's been, as they say, a minute since our last recording, but I think the pandemic fatigue is real, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. And work stress is also real.
Yeah, we're not, I guess we aren't considered essential workers. I don't want to frame it this way, but I work for a remote software company. So our product has been high in demand, and my mom works for a pharmaceutical company whose vaccine is high in demand. So we have both been fortunate to be employed, but also a lot of work, a lot of stress, and my knitting, as they say, my knitting mojo hasn't been super high. I don't have a ton of updates, but some progress. So yeah, I think
this is enough for our demo.
Oh,
we're doing a demo.
Oh, we're doing a demo. I think that was pretty good. Okay, we were gonna do like a little practice recording to make sure the camera angle was good and cropped and everything, but then we just kept going with our recording. So I'm just gonna keep that in, and we can just keep our test
Keep it in there.
Video
keep
in.
It like, okay.
So yeah, today is Sunday, February 21st, and we're in Boston at my apartment. We've had quite a bit of snow here. I think we had between Thursday and Friday maybe like 6 inches. But fortunately, we don't have this situation that has been happening in Texas, which I think they're over the worst now.
I hope so. Yes.
Probably. Well, at least maybe
power
wise, but the water situation might be an issue.
Which is terrible, yes.
Yeah, definitely feeling for the people in Texas.
So we've been pretty lucky. We've just both fallen in the snow this week.
Oh yeah, we both did fall. I fell
separately.
Yeah, I fell getting into my car. Before I got to the car, actually, I fell. I was getting in the car to move it because we live in Boston, and sometimes I have to move it depending on like
day of the week.
There's a school parking lot that I park in. This is probably too much detail that you guys don't care about, but I usually park in a school lot because it's safe. But then when school's in session, it's kind of hybrid, so they need some of the parking lot, but not all of it. Anyway, I moved it onto the street, and I fell walking to the car to move it. So but I'm okay. I cut my hand, but and had a little bit of a bruise on my hip. But all things considered, I'm okay. And what happened to you?
So I try to go walking with a friend of mine a couple of times a week, and we went on Thursday in the middle of the snowstorm. We didn't realize it was going to be the worst part.
Oh God.
And we were walking in a snowy path, and we didn't realize there was sheer ice underneath the snow. And we were walking, having a political intense conversation, and Gwen slipped and fell, knocked me. I fell on top of her.
Oh no.
So I had a pretty soft landing. We were both okay. Our prides were hurt. And then we got up, walked a couple more steps, and I slipped and fell again.
Oh my God, Mom, you have to be careful. You need some grippy shoes.
The boots I was wearing were not the best for the conditions, but you know, we're both okay, and I just knocked my knee a little bit. It still feels a little bit tender, but nothing serious. But that was a good wake-up call to A, wear proper shoes, and B, pay attention. You just never know what's underneath the fresh snow.
Yeah, when it starts to layer up like that, there's the layer of ice underneath usually. We should know this as New England people.
Yeah, so, but I have been really good about making time most days to go out, enjoy some solar therapy and fresh air and exercise, and also just to chat, because as you all know, we work from home, so making an effort to actually get out and talk to people in real life, other than, you know, the people we're living with, is really great for sanity, and we're lucky enough to be able to do that. So yeah, I'm still sort of counting my steps every day.
I have not been doing enough walking every day.
It's not as easy for you because you're in your apartment and
it's tough.
You're in the city. I live in a beautiful setting, and I can be out by the cove, or
Yeah.
I can do a little woodland loop that's only 20 to 30 minutes, you know, just right out of our driveway. So I'm really lucky that I can do that. But you're in a city, so it's...
Yeah. I'll insert a couple photos of both of our settings. I know you took some photos in the snow, and I took a couple on the street. So it is pretty. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of snow. I kind of get over it pretty quickly with just the living in a city. It can be just like kind of annoying, especially walking around, and dangerous to walk and all that. But it is nice when you're up in Vermont or New Hampshire. And I did have a couple nice ski weekends the past couple of weeks, so I enjoyed up there. But down here, you know, in
It's just
Boston,
a pain
it's just a
in
pain.
a city.
Yeah, it looks pretty the night it falls, and then I'm over it.
Well, it gets dirty so quickly here.
Yeah.
Where I live in the boonies, it's been staying beautiful for a while.
Yeah.
It's definitely better than the brown grass that I've got in front of the house at the moment. But you went on a couple of skiing trips, and one was bitterly cold.
Yeah,
wasn't
we
it?
were in Stowe at the end of January, and the one of the days we skied, the wind chill was -20, and it was really cold. You know, the mountain, the lodges were only open for the bathroom, so you couldn't kind of go in and warm up kind of deal. But I think we managed to be out for almost 5 hours. We had toe warmers and hand warmers, and
you need them.
I think the gear now, there's so much technology and jackets and mittens and pants that you don't have to do too much bulk. And of course I had a wool sweater on underneath my jacket, and so I stayed pretty warm. But by the end of by 3:30, we were ready to be done. Anna's my sister, her toes got a little numb, but
bless
anyway,
her.
it was fun to get away for sure.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yes.
Yeah. So I guess, should we talk about some knitting now? I'll put up this. We are at Knit Inc. And this is us on Instagram, knit_inc, if you'd like to follow us. So obviously we love knitting, talking about knitting and all things fiber. And I also do hand lettering. I have a company called We're Into It with my friend Amelia, and we sell cards and prints and wedding stuff and all that. So I can share a little bit about the pens later too.
Okay, so I'd like to say, excuse me, welcome. Thanks for watching us.
Yeah.
Welcome to our returning viewers.
5 minutes in, welcome.
Yeah, and welcome any new viewers. And if you like our video, please press the old thumbs up and subscribe so you'll get notified during our haphazard schedule when we release a new episode.
Yeah, and we did a giveaway, and we'll do, when we reach, what was it? Did we do a giveaway at 100 subscribers?
We did. We said we were going to do one when we reached 100 subscribers, and we
did that.
We went pretty quickly in that period to, I can't remember what it was.
So we'll do another one at 500.
Yeah, we'll do a giveaway at 500. And we did a giveaway for our knit along, and I posted the package to Canada.
Oh, to Vicky, right?
To Vicky at least 2 weeks ago. So Vicky, I hope you get it any day soon.
Do you have tracking?
I do, and
I
haven't checked it, but I will check it.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Double check to see.
So I'm excited for you to get that package, which is, well, I'll keep it a surprise.
Yeah, keep it a surprise.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mom, what are we going to talk about today?
Shall we talk about what we're wearing?
Okay. I am wearing the Rhapsody in Cables, and this is a pattern by Joji Locatelli. I knit this started at end of January 2019 and finished beginning of March 2019. I think it took me about 5 years, so about
5 years.
Sorry, 5 weeks.
Which is not bad for a complicated sweater like that.
So I will say one thing right off the bat. So there is a lace panel in here that has these pretty kind of like a leaf motif, leaves going up and down, and I think you repeat it twice. At the time I was knitting this, I just wasn't feeling the lace vibe. I wanted more of the geometric pattern, so I figured out, I think because the lace motif was pretty wide, I ended up doing a couple extra repeats of this round. And I do remember this, I guess this was 2 years ago, the construction of this was pretty cool. I'm not going to give away the secret sauce, but I do remember it's knit in one piece, but it was really cool how you knit areas of the back, and the front, and it all, you know, and the sleeves, and it all comes together. Because even though it's knit in one piece, the cables go, you know, you can see how they are seamless from the my front,
and you know what,
to my sleeves.
What's really lovely is you don't end up with the bulk under your arms, which sometimes can happen with this kind of construction.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's
and so
beautiful.
the back has the same continuation of the cable.
And then you pick up, do you?
Yeah, there's picking up and all that jazz. So there's no seams, but it still has a lot of structure. And I mean, he is a very talented pattern designer. And I definitely had to pay close attention because I wasn't doing the lace panel, but the lace panel was here. So I was able to follow the construction up here, you know, as the pattern was written. And I think her sleeves are more like 3/4 in her pattern. I just did them pretty much long sleeve. And this yarn, it was Cumbria.
It was I gave that to you.
Yeah, you gave it to me.
For Christmas.
Cumbria Fiber & Co. The fiber company, Cumbria. And the color is Buttermere. So it's kind of like a almost chartreuse, like a yellow-green. And I think, what weight is this?
I think it's like a worsted weight or...
Yeah, the pattern calls for worsted. I'm pretty sure it's worsted. And I knit it on US size 3 and 6, which is kind of interesting.
I think this is British yarn. It might be Aran weight.
Yeah. So I actually haven't worn this at all this winter. I think it's a really nice knit, but I feel like for some reason it's like something I'm gonna wear out and about. It's less of like a chilling at home sweater, but I could definitely still just wear this on all my virtual meetings.
It must be, maybe it's too warm.
Yeah, it is really warm. I'm definitely heating up right now.
Your apartment feels quite warm.
Yeah, I think John just came back. That's why we had the little pause earlier, and he brought us some lunch that we just had. But
and some nice coffee.
And so I'm warm because I think it's warming up. The snow is melting out there, which is great.
It's a beautiful sunny day today.
So yeah, I think the back of this, I could have made it a little bit longer. There are short rows, but it does kind of like pull up in the back sometimes.
Not too much though. I was watching you walking around, and it's just a tad.
And I think
really
maybe it could do with a block at the beginning of the season just to pull that down. But otherwise, I'm really happy with this. Oh, and I do believe I did the tubular.
Oh, of course you did.
But
tubular bind off.
This might have been one of the first times I did it, or when I was still kind of new to it. Anyway.
I feel like this was one of the first complex sweaters you knit. No?
Well, I had that gray. No, I don't think so. I think I've done a couple of in 2018, but it definitely was a fun knit. I would recommend it. And yeah, I mean, even with the leafy lace panel, it's awesome. So
yes, it's lovely.
So that's what I'm wearing. What are you wearing?
I'm wearing the Isbre.
And this is new. I don't have a finished sweater for myself. You have a beautiful new sweater.
So this is what I'm wearing and my finished object for this episode. I finished this maybe 3 weeks ago or so. I'm having a hard time figuring out time.
What is time?
But I really like it. The design is by Skeindeer Knits, and Ani and Carlos commented on the Instagram post that this is actually a really old traditional Norwegian pattern. So I'm excited about that. I do like the simplicity of this. I loved it when it first came out. It was in Liner magazine originally, but now it's a standalone pattern on Ravelry, and I used Holstsupersoft, that big
your cone.
my cone. So this dark color is Cloudberry, and the white is called Bleached White. And I blocked it, washed it. A lot of dye came out of this, and
you knew that was going to happen because you used this yarn for your slipstravaganza, right?
Exactly.
So you were prepared.
Yeah. So I used 2 stain catchers, which was
color catchers.
Color catchers, sorry, yes, color catchers, which was a recommendation to us from one of our lovely viewers in Rhode Island. So it's really bloomed beautifully. It's this whole sweater weighs just 207 grams. I still have quite a lot of the cone left, and I'm planning another sweater with it that I'll show you. So yeah, it's got some positive ease, but not too much. It's really lightweight and warm. Once I finished this apart and separated for the sleeves and the body, it went pretty quickly. It was just my mindless stockinette sweater.
Nice. Yeah, it's got enough interest at the
for
the
top.
yoke, and then you can just easily keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'll just hold this up because it's the Isbre, Isbre, and the pen that I use for this is the Kuretake, a Japanese pen. This is actually metallic ink, and you can see that the nib, let me get to the camera here, the nib, it might not focus, is actually quite wide. And these pens the metallic come in a pack of 6. And it's nice. It's a nice juicy pen for big display writing. So that's one of my favorite types of pens.
The other thing I want to say about this sweater, that in the pattern there's 2 series of short rows so that you don't get that hanging up at the back. One is at the top before the pattern, and then another series after the pattern before you separate. And that's a Skeindeer knit. She's very conscious about the fit and short rows. So yeah,
all about the short rows. They definitely make a difference. I was totally like freaked out and nervous about and thought they were not necessary when I first started doing sweaters, but they totally make a difference. Like
that if you're knitting sweaters in the round, then yes. If you're knitting them in pieces, then of course you can compensate by just doing extra rows in the back. And yeah, you know, I might be tempted to try this pattern but bottom up so that the stitches are smiling instead of frowning. This is something that Ani and Carlos talked to us about, because traditionally Norwegian and Scandinavian sweaters are knitted bottom up. You knit the body, then you knit each sleeve, and then you join everything and you're knitting the top. The thing about that is that you have a lot of bulk then on your needles when you're doing intricate color work. Yeah.
And sometimes it's fun to start with the color work.
Yes, because you're excited about starting. Yeah.
Okay.
So, do you have any other finished objects, Natasha?
I mean, kind of.
Almost finished.
Almost. So, I talked about these last time. These are my Brodgar Mitts, not knits. And I talked about the history of the archaeological site, and that the patterns in these are mimicked from the stone patterns that they are uncovering up in Brodgar, which is one of the islands up above Scotland. So I had finished one last time, and like I said, I haven't done too much knitting, but I finished this last night. I haven't done the steek, so these are gonna have a little thumb hole here, which I have to cut. So I think this speaks to how my state of mind has been. I'll line them up. My gauge for my second one is off by quite a bit. Like I'm so much tighter.
This is
the first one.
An inch in a pretty small diameter.
Yeah, it's probably an inch. I mean, it's like half an inch when folded, but when unfolded, it would be an inch. So luckily this one's a little big, so this will still fit. But I think that speaks to like how things have been. It's just been, I guess I was holding a lot of tension in my knitting. So I think what I'm gonna try and do, I have to look up the steeking because I've never steeked before.
And I haven't either, so I can't really offer much advice.
But I'm going to, I have to figure out if I need to block before or after steeking, and I'm gonna try and stretch this one, and I might throw this one in the dryer when it's
Just
a little damp for
bit.
like 15-20 minutes to see if this one can shrink up a little bit, and then they can meet in the middle.
It would be a shame to not wear them because this color work is so intricate.
I would still wear them at this size, but I think I can get this one to be a little smaller.
Yeah, I think
I think luckily they're pretty forgiving, but I don't, it's really hard to, I guess you can kind of tell on camera, you can see how much bigger this one is.
Oh yes, definitely. You know what, that reminds me, do you remember of those mittens that I made you for Christmas a couple of years ago?
Oh my God, I should totally go grab those.
One of them is bigger than the other one as well, isn't
I'm gonna
it?
go grab those, and when you're talking about something, and I'll show those off.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes, and I knit these like they're not that far off in time of when I knit them. Like, it's not like I knit it a year later.
It was within a month, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so was the mittens that I knit too, and they were such different gauge.
I don't think I screwed up the needles either, because
and you didn't hold, when you were doing the color work, you didn't hold the yarn.
I mean, I didn't do anything differently. I think it was just the state of mind.
Wow. So you're more so you're knitting, your gauge is tightened up. Have you been under more stress recently?
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
So anyway, note to self: maybe lay off color work when stressed. Even though it is kind of fun to have that outlet, but I definitely,
well, because it occupies your mind, so it's a release. But
yeah.
But also the tighter gauge actually fits you better, because you were worried that
I was
were
worried
going to be
this
too
one's
big.
This one still definitely fits, which is great. So I definitely want to try and get this one to be a little smaller. Anyway, the patterns are really cool. I love the different motifs.
They are
I think you can kind of
beautiful.
almost see some of them a little bit better on the smaller gauge. So there is, this is a Christmas gift from my dad, there is a matching tam hat. So I'm going to try and, I have to finish weaving an end, figure out steeking, and then I'm going to cast on the tam just to get the whole project complete, and that'll make me happy. So yeah.
So the tam is pretty intricate color work too?
It uses the same motifs, same
Okay.
yarn.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it'll be good to do that while you've got.
Yes, and I will hopefully, gotta figure out what my gauge situation will be. Hopefully I can make that work, because the hat is, you don't want the hat to be too tight or too big, so I'm gonna have to make sure I do that in an appropriate mindset.
Yes.
All right, so do you want to talk about an FL while I go grab
the other mittens?
those
Yes.
mittens?
So my other hat, my other FO is a hat, and it's this one, and it's just been freshly blocked, and this is a pattern by Onion Carlos. I'm not going to try to pronounce it because I will butcher it. I tried to find the meaning of this, but I think it's someone's name, and it's a hat with X's and O's, and this is probably also a pretty traditional pattern. I made this for my son-in-law, and I used not Brooklyn tweed. I used rowan fine tweed yarn that's from Deep Stash actually. So I'm just going to show you. This is the pattern, and it's a paper pattern. Natasha bought me a set of Onion Carlos's hat patterns last year for my birthday, and the yarn I bought a few years ago when I was visiting Anna in Seattle, and it comes in these cute 25-gram balls. It's English yarn, and it's probably not going to come out on camera, but this is a navy, and it's got some really nice tweedy speckles in it, and the colorways I think are named after towns. Yeah, so this is made in England. There's a link to my Ravelry page with the, I'm trying to find the colorway on this ball band, and it's another tough word to pronounce. It's called the Ascrig.
Oh, what did I just walk into?
Yeah, I'm just trying to pronounce the colorways of this yarn. I think they're places.
ASKRIGG.
Because when I used the hashtags on Instagram, places
on here
came up. So I might
I'm focusing
look this up. And this is the light color, and it's also a nice tweed. And the name of this color is called Buckden. Yeah, so this yarn actually breaks really easily. I broke it a few times when I was doing the Norwegian cast on for the brim. So yeah, it was actually my son-in-law's birthday on Friday, so you're gonna give it to him.
I guess it's my husband's brother. So I guess he is still your son-in-law? Is that how it works?
I was trying to figure that out, but he feels
like a son-in-law.
Yeah, he's just so super lovely.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that he's gonna get this hat this week.
Yeah, John's actually gonna drop it off today.
Oh, good.
Did you talk about? I love the little pops of color in the tweed.
I did. I wasn't sure if it
I took some
pops
close-up photos. So
if
hopefully
it
those
actually
come
comes out. It's still a little bit damp, so I'm gonna lay it down so it can finish drying.
And I don't know, did you hold this up too?
Yes, I did,
okay.
and I said I can't pronounce that.
Yeah,
I don't wanna-
Sveinung. And so the pen I used for this is a Tombow Fudenosuke pen. I'm probably butchering the name. I'm sorry. I think a lot of the best pens are Japanese, so they have Japanese names. Anyway, this is a fine tip pen, so you can see the difference between the one I held up earlier and this one is a lot smaller. It's a lot stiffer. This works well for writing on envelopes or even gift tags. And it's a nice one. Back in the before times, I would use this a lot in notes, in person meetings, but for some reason now I take a lot of notes on my computer instead. But I do enjoy these pens, and they come in about 12 different colors, which is nice. Okay, so here are the.
Should we do a warning?
Oh yeah, so
profanity warning.
Yeah, profanity warning, but it's worth it. So these are my cold as fuck mittens that my mom made me. They are so soft. They feel like cashmere. I don't know what wool you use, but these are like,
I can't remember, but it may have some cashmere.
So soft. So I think can you tell, when did you make these for me? Like 3 years ago, maybe?
And I will never forget Natasha's reaction when she opened up the Christmas package. It was a complete surprise, and the shock, and she just shrieked when she saw them.
They're so funny, but you can see the size difference here.
Yeah.
You're off just pretty much the same amount I was off, but again,
These
it's kind of
my
like this one's a little loose, and this one fits pretty well actually. It's maybe a little tight, but they're a great conversation starter, and you did such a nice job, and they're so funny.
This is my first color work mittens that I had knit actually, and the cuff is kind of cute because it's this corrugated rib. Which I think might be similar to what
actually,
you
I
use.
think I have the corrugated rib on here too.
It's a really nice.
But you have 2 knit stitches in between yours, and I just had 1. So yeah, these just a little surprise extra bonus pattern.
We weren't going to talk about it, but since we're talking about mitten issues, I think I am going to talk about another mitten issue that I have.
God.
So
I don't want to take these off now.
I did talk about these, I think, in our last episode. This is another Skeindeer pattern. She released these as a mystery during Christmas, and I wasn't able to keep up. So a couple of, and these are all operator error issues, nothing wrong. Nothing wrong
Huge
with
disclaimer, nothing wrong with any of these patterns. Total user error.
Total user error. So 2 user errors with this is the colors that I used are not contrasting enough. Which is a classic mistake. So you can, these haven't been blocked yet, so you can barely see that there's a jumping reindeer in here.
Which is a shame when you put all the work into the color work.
And also, they're huge.
They're effing huge.
Yeah.
They're like massive.
I haven't even finished the... and so in this pattern, you're supposed to adjust size by needles, by gauge. It's just 1 stitch count because of the complicated pattern. So I agonized over this, but I think I'm going to rip them out. I'm just going to keep the cuff, which is what reminded me of them, because there's 2 Latvian braids in here, and you know that doing a Latvian braid with all the twisting, it's a labor of love.
Yeah, I've never done a Latvian braid.
Oh, you haven't? It's really...
I think they look really cool though.
They do, and I really like this rib, which is a cable.
Oh yeah.
So I think I'm just going to unpick, and this
you might even be able to keep that part, yeah.
I'm just going to unpick, and then I'm going to I'll figure out what I'll do, whether I'll do a different pattern or the same pattern but choose different yarn. I think when I talked about this before, I was wearing a sweater that I had knitted with this. So this is phenol. This is Norwegian phenol P22 Rama yarn.
Nice, You'll want to use that. Yeah, you don't want to waste that on.
Yeah, I definitely don't. So it's just been sitting in timeout, but I think now that I've talked about it, I'm ready to frog and move on.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's the mittens.
Okay, so that was our mitten
extravaganza.
Mitten extravaganza. Some user error, but all good fun patterns, and
we're learning.
Yeah.
It's a continual learning,
that's
isn't
the great
it?
thing about this hobby. You're always learning.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. So you're going to tell us about your big work in progress,
Okay,
Natasha.
so yeah, I am working on John's sweater. I am in the middle of a row, but whatever, that's fine. So I finished the back since the last time we chatted, and now I'm on to the front. So I'm probably, I would say, close to halfway.
So this is knitted in pieces.
Yes, this is knitted in pieces. So the back I knit for the size extra large. And I'm actually thinking it might be a little big for John. He does have really broad shoulders. So I decided to cast on for the large size for the front.
And of course it's a tubular bind on, cast on.
I don't know if the pattern called for that or not.
But
Actually, I think the pattern called for 1x1 rib. And I don't always like 1x1 rib.
I don't
actually rarely like.
Can I interject here? You know what's interesting? I'm not a really big fan of 1x1 rib either. And for socks, I like a 2-1x rib. I really like how that looks.
2x1, yeah.
And that I learned that from the sock matician actually.
Oh, okay.
A few years ago, he talked about when he was knitting it. And I can show you how that looks. And then the other thing I wanted to say is I watched the Bakery with Bears podcasts, and Kay talked about ribbing. She talked about 1x1 rib and how she loves 1x1 rib.
Oh, interesting.
And she pays attention to when you do the purl stitch, tighten up that purl stitch consciously a little bit more.
Okay.
So that the 1x1 rib then looks neater because...
Right, because it ends up looking, there's like a weird gap in between when you go from knit to purl.
Exactly, and that's because your tension is usually different for the purl when you bring, if you're the way we knit, we're not continental knitters, you bring the yarn forward. So this is 2x1 rib, and I just love how that looks. And
it's still stretchy.
Yeah. And I don't do any mindful, being careful about the gauge for my purl or anything. I just whip them out. But your rib looks really beautiful, the 2x2 and the tubular.
Yeah, I don't
just makes it look so much nicer.
I don't remember if the pattern called for tubular bind on or not, but I did.
What pattern are you using?
So it's called the Tweedy sweater.
Oh, that's right.
And it's an Italian designer. Let me get the...
You mentioned it last time, I think, and you're using tweed.
Yeah.
And this is to get Johnny out of navy blue and black and gray.
Yeah, all of John's clothes are black, navy blue, and like charcoal or light gray, which I guess is just gray.
Yes. So this is a big.
The designer is Dario Tubiana. So yes, I'm probably close to halfway of the front, and then it will be sleeves. And I'm doing okay with my yarn. I'm on my 5th ball. I have 10 of these. This is the City Tweed DK by Knit Picks, and I got this on a Black Friday sale.
That's
so I love tweed yarn. I mean, you just talked about Andrew's hat, and it's just so fun with the little
pops of color.
Yeah, there's it's not really color in this one, but there's white and black, and a little gray. So it just adds some interest for, what is a pretty simple pattern. So
yeah. So
nothing too crazy, I guess, as far as altering. I'm just, I guess I did when I was like halfway through the back, I was like, well, shoot, I should have figured out how to do this in the round because I was getting annoyed with all my purl rows. But now I'm glad that I did it in pieces, because I think if I cast on the extra large and was knitting it in the round, it would be way too big. So I think hopefully the seaming won't be too off with having a extra large back and a large front. I think it'll still be okay.
And I really think for a sweater this size, having the seams and also this yarn will help to give it structure and actually probably a better fit for Johnny.
So hopefully I'll have the front done by the next time. And it is going just since I haven't been working on it as much, but as far as the actual progress of it, should be theoretically going faster, because I think I have 10 less stitches.
Okay. And what size needles are you using?
I am using size 5. The pattern calls for size 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's a pretty tight gauge for DK. I usually use
US
US size 6 for double knitting.
Yeah, it was pretty dense, the size 4, and that's probably why the extra large might be too big for him, even though I thought I did a bunch of math. I also thought that it would go a little quicker in size 5 versus size 4.
Yes, I would think so. So this has got to be your mindless, relaxing knitting.
Yeah.
So
that's just going.
That's okay.
What about you? What are you working on?
So I am working on, well, besides my socks, these are the first. I know I keep scratching my face because there's yarn everywhere. Besides these socks, I started another sweater for myself.
This is a fun, bright color.
This is a really bright purple, yes. So the design is
Ooh, look at these colors together.
Oh, wow, yeah, that is nice. Gosh, that is pretty nice. This is, so let's see. The pattern is called Winterly by Suvi Knits.
S-U-V-I?
Yes, Suvi Knits.
Oh, I think we follow her on Instagram.
Yeah, we do. And
yeah.
And I
Is that how you found her pattern, or did you find
No,
her?
so you know how I found this pattern? I had this yarn in my stash. It's Titus by Bar MU, another English yarn actually. And I was looking for patterns, and this pattern is made in this yarn. It's kind of unusual for me to actually knit a sweater that was made in the actual yarn.
Right.
The pattern's called Winterly, but it's made in 2 colors. So you make this part in one color and then the body in another color. But I'm just going to use one. I'm just going to use one color.
So by this part, you mean where you've got these pearl bumps?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So modification I made, which I saw in somebody else had made this modification. I stole it from someone. Is if you can see that the garter ridges are further and further apart. Actually, by 1 row.
Right, so it grows as you come down the yoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
The pattern is actually you do a purl row every 4th row. But I really like this kind of gradation. I think it's flattering.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit worried about having enough yarn. This is a fingering weight, although it feels more like sport weight.
Hold on, I just want to interrupt for a second. So this is 50% Wensleydale Longwool, 20% Blueface Leicester, and 30% UK Alpaca. So it's got some nice, like you can see there's some soft drape to it.
Halo, it's got halo.
It's got halo. The drape, I guess, is the alpaca, right? Then the halo is the Blueface Leicester.
No, I think the halo is alpaca.
Oh, okay. And you can, it's not super rustic, but there is like underlying rustic vibes to it. So this is an interesting mix.
It is Bar MU. I think that this counts as rustic yarn.
Okay.
Definitely. It's not superwash. So I have 3...
Right, but I just mean like the feeling and texture of it versus like alpaca would be really soft, right? There you can still feel the alpaca, but
it's got some toothiness to it.
There we go.
Yes.
That's a technical term, right?
So it's going to wear much better with the other wool versus just alpaca.
Right. It'll hold its shape and all that jazz.
It's a slight itch factor, I would say.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it blocks up.
Yeah.
It's light though. When I was holding this up, this is light.
Yeah. It's almost as light as the Holst yarn.
Yeah.
So I'm using size 4 needles, I think. Okay, so I knit the body and split for the sleeves with 1 skein, and then I decided to start on the sleeves because I want to make sure that I don't run out of yarn. And you can just see the body is split so that half of it is a lace weight pattern, and then half is just stockinette, and the back is the opposite.
Oh, cool!
So it's kind of like quadrangles.
Very cool. So 1 skein got you to here.
1 skein got me to here.
And now you're on your 2nd skein, and you're almost done with 1 sleeve.
Yep.
So then you'll probably be able to use that other skein to start your other sleeve.
Yeah. So I weighed this yesterday, and I had 72 grams left. So I think one of these is gonna be definitely enough for both sleeves.
Okay.
And then I'll have the 3rd one, and I'll just knit until I run out of yarn, and that will decide how long the sweater's going to be, and I think it'll work out.
Yeah.
I looked at other projects to make sure that 3 skeins would be enough for my size. And I can't remember now. And there's some short rows. This is the back I'm holding up. There's some short rows here. This is the front. I changed my mind about the sizes, I think. I cast on for one size, and then I was going to knit one more panel before splitting for the... I actually did. I knitted one more of these before splitting for the sleeves and tried it on, and there was too much bulk here, so I ripped it back.
Oh, yeah.
That's another advantage of knitting top-down sweaters.
And that's something I like about Raglan sweaters too, is that sometimes you can cast on for one size and you can easily adjust how many Raglan increases you do.
Exactly.
Like if you cast on too small of a size, you just do extra Raglan to get to the number of stitches for the next size up. And if you cast on too big of a size, then you don't do the extra Raglan increases and stop when you get to the stitch count for the smaller size. I actually really like Raglan sweaters. I like knitting them and I like the fit of them. So
they're growing on me, and actually my mom wants me to make her a Raglan sweater. I'll talk about that next time. I've done my swatching and everything, but I only just cast on. So yeah, so this is
fun. I like that this is still in your purple color scheme, but a little bit, you know, a brighter, different shade. Yeah,
it's
very
definitely
nice.
a different shade. I'm using Stash, and it's a fun pattern. So yeah,
cool.
And it's living in my nice little
hohi
bag. So that's been what I call my active knit, and I'm looking forward to finishing that because I want to cast on 2 other sweaters.
Yeah.
So that's it for my knitting projects. I just want to talk about what's on deck. What else?
Oh, I have one thing that's basically what's on deck. I really haven't cast on anything for myself since, not so I really haven't. I haven't cast on anything for myself since our last episode. And when you came up last night, I like saw all your fun new projects and got jealous that you had some fun projects on the needles for yourself. So I have this really beautiful yarn called Sophia. It's alpaca merino silk, and it's kind of like mohair, but it's not called mohair, but it's got it's like acts like mohair. And it's in this like beautiful like dusty rose blush color, and I got this at the Third Piece, which was the yarn shop just like a 5-minute walk from me that actually had a closing sale in January, I think.
It was January.
They are going to be online for a little while, and then they are going to open up a showroom in Newton. So the shop isn't completely gone and closed. They will be opening a showroom in Newton. I'm not sure the timeline, but until then they are online. So they were getting rid of a lot of the inventory. So I went a little wild. I'm not going to go through everything I bought, but I bought this yarn in 3 different colors. I got the blush, the white, and a red. But I'm really interested in using this yarn for a sweater for myself. And I think one of the fun things that's like kind of trendy and happening right now is holding mohair with a lace or a fingering weight yarn and kind of marling. I guess that's marling, right?
Yeah,
and
it can marl if it's contrasting colors.
Yeah, or it's a good way to add structure if you're using, depending on the yarn type you're using, and
lightness as well.
Yeah. So I also have the Holst. This is the it's not the super soft. It's the Noble Base by Holst.
It's got a little cashmere in it.
Yes, so it has 5% cashmere in it. So it's that 5% makes this quite soft. And I had originally gotten this to make a sweater for John, but after swatching with that, I wasn't feeling it. I think I talked about it in some earlier episodes. So I decided that these would be kind of fun together. So I did a swatch. This is on size 8 needles, and I think this is actually too loose of a gauge for my liking. I'm kind of stretching it right now. I think I'm gonna go down to size 6 and see what the gauge is like. But my plan is to do a swatch with size 6 because I'm not into the fabric of this.
Not size 7. Did you originally you did 6 last night, right?
Yeah, so the reason I'm trying to figure this out is I only have 4 skeins of this. So I want to make sure that I have enough, but I'm also starting to think maybe I do have other colors, so maybe the bottom of the sweater can be, I have plenty of the holes, so I'm not worried about running out of that. maybe the bottom is a different color mohair, either a gray or a white or something. So I'm not going to stress too much about not having this. So that's why I swatched with size 8, because I was like, I need this to be
a little airy.
I need to make this yarn go its full length, but I think I'd rather do some color blocking with a different color mohair and have the actual like fabric weight that I like. So I think I'm gonna go down to size 6, because I did start this in size 6 and I liked it and was like, oh no, I'm not gonna have enough yarn. So long story short, I am going to measure my gauge with size 6 and then check out patterns that fit that gauge. And I've kind of narrowed it down to a couple from Petite Knits, because she has a ton of patterns of holding 2 yarns together, and I want to do a raglan turtleneck. So she has quite a few options that are raglan turtlenecks and quite a few on size 6 needles, or the gauge I'm looking for. I think the Stockholm sweater is one. Anyway, so I'm gonna do my swatch and measure today, and I'm excited to then pick a pattern to cast on something for myself, because I think I need it after not really doing much knitting for the last month or so, and this will get me excited to get going on that.
And these will be kind of the last sweaters we make for ourselves before we start thinking about summer.
Oh gosh, yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I knit warmer sweaters up through like May, just because spring really doesn't come until May here. I always think it's April, but it's not. It's definitely, spring doesn't come until May. So we still have some time.
We definitely still have some cold time, and this, So okay, so I will talk about I've also been swatching, actually. I didn't always swatch for sweaters, but now I'm definitely learning the value of swatching before you invest time and money into a sweater.
Yeah.
So Anna, we talk about her a lot. She is my sister and your daughter, so I think it's okay if we talk about her. We talk about her in a good way, right? In a good way, and she's definitely, she's not a knitter. Well, but she dabbles, but she loves the product, and she's a big supporter.
Yes, she is extremely knit-worthy.
She is. So last summer, she went to Portland, Maine, and she visited Casey's store, Port Fiber. Is it called Port Fiber?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she bought me a braid to spin, but without I don't think she realized that it was supposed to be spun. But it was a beautiful braid, merino silk that Casey had dyed.
I'll insert a little photo. Anna took a photo in the shop, and I remember being so jealous because I haven't been to that shop.
Neither have I.
And I've been to Portland a couple times, but I think Casey's closed on Sundays, and I missed it. So I hope to go to Portland. I probably go twice a year or so.
I want to go. I have never been.
We should plan a trip
and visit Casey.
Yeah.
When the pandemic eases.
Oh yeah, maybe later this summer in the fall.
Is it from here?
I think it's just about 2 hours.
Okay.
It's not just under. It's probably about the same distance as driving to Stonington from here. Anyway, so I remember being very jealous because Anna was there, and she has a cute picture with Casey, and she's holding the braid, because we were looking last night because I wanted to be able to show what the braid looked like beforehand. I was like, wait, Anna posted in the shop. So so Anna's holding the braid in the photo, so you can kind of zoom in and see
what it looks
like. So anyway, Anna got the braid, gave it to you,
and I thought, gosh, I don't spin. I can't start another hobby. So I had it in where I work, I had it sort of as a ornament on the wall, hanging over a picture frame all summer pretty much.
Yeah, it was on display.
It was on display, exactly. So I was enjoying it. And then I have a friend, the same friend I walk with that we fell together this week, who does spin, actually, Gwen.
And she spins beautiful.
She spins beautifully. And it was her birthday in October, and I decided to give it to her for her birthday.
So when you gave it to her for your birthday, it was just like a gift?
Yeah, I said, Gwen, and Anna was fine with it. And Gwen and I, we've been friends for many years, and we're totally fine with re-gifting gift to each
right.
other.
You don't need a ton, new stuff.
Yeah, we're all about using what you have. So she was thrilled with it, and she spun it, and so this is it here, and she decided to ply it.
But wait, you should say she spun it and then gave it to you for your birthday.
Right, I was just going to say how she spun it and then what happened. But anyway.
Sorry, I jumped the gun.
You jumped the gun. So she spun it and she showed it to me, and she said, you know, it's your birthday coming up. And she was trying to decide what to ply it with. She didn't want to ply it with itself because we would lose the color. It would get muddy. So she plied it with, you can see one strand here, with this cream mohair that she got from Driftwood Yarns. And then she said, hey Petra, it's your birthday that's coming up, so I'm going to give it to you for your birthday.
This one you can see more color.
Yeah, this one's really tight. So I was really touched that she gave it all spun up to me for my birthday. And on one of our walks, we decided, she said this would be really great for color work. It's not completely even, and the color work would be forgiving. So we decided that I would make a sweater for Anna's birthday. Anna doesn't know this.
Oh.
I don't know if she doesn't watch all our episodes as much of a fan as she is. So
she might watch it. Should we wait and not tell her about it and see if she watches and says something?
Yeah.
All right, Anna, if you watch, let us know.
Okay. So
wait, hold on. I want to say one thing.
Yeah.
Oh shoot. Oh, okay. So I think it's great that you gave this to an expert knitter to spin. First of all, who knows when either you or I would have picked up spinning. I love
an expert spinner.
An expert spinner.
Yes.
Because I love the idea of spinning, but like you said, I don't have the space in my hobby time to do it and learn it. You know, maybe one day I'll be interested.
Right.
But I think it's beautiful when you have the fiber and it comes into yarn, and I think it makes beautiful yarn to knit with.
Yes.
But you and I would have had no idea that if we plied this on together on itself, that it would get muddy. Right. I know spinners that when I watch podcasts or, you know, seen examples or talked it through, when you're knitting the two colors together, you're going to lose it.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that Gwen knew to mix this with a neutral mohair made it so that it keeps its beautiful color integrity.
Yes.
And so these are perfect for Anna. There's the green, the blue, and then some pinky purples in there.
Yeah, and I can't wait to just kind of knit through it and see how it looks inside.
Okay, so now you can talk about,
anyway. So Gwen gave this to me for my birthday, which was earlier on in the month, and we decided to make Anna a sweater. And about this time, I had finished this sweater, and Gwen thought that, wow, this would be, you know, pretty good yarn. And so this comb that goes on forever, I think I have about 200 grams left on this cone.
Okay.
And so because there's mohair in this, I decided to join the mohair train, and I had bought this actually for myself from Driftwood Yarns because this is this beautiful purple color.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what I had in mind for this, but anyway.
A purple sweater.
Yeah. So I thought it would be great to hold these two together, which would match kind of the gauge for this, and try the color work. And so I did a swatch. Actually, this is my second swatch with two different size needles, and the pattern that I have chosen is by it's another name that I'm going to butcher. It's called Snedronningen, which means ice queen, and it's
Snedronningen. SNED. I'm sorry, I don't have this lettered up. SNEDRONNINGEN. And I guess I could have just said I will write it down below. But,
yeah,
but it means, keep going.
It means the Ice Queen, and it's a tale by Hans Christian Andersen.
Oh, okay.
So I'm calling it the Ice Queen sweater, and it's a beautiful colorwork sweater by Isabel Kramer. So it'll be, and I'm going to knit it at loose gauge, although Anna's pretty tiny. So I'm also been trying to decide what size needle. And you know what? I started with I know you're not going to be able to see this, but I started with size 6 and then I moved to 7, and I will definitely do my color work in a size up, because I did my color work, yeah. For this sweater, I did my color work one size up for the dense part, and I think it actually worked out really nicely. So you know what, I might just do the size 6, have it, this is quite a nice gauge.
I thought it was going to be too dense, but I don't think it is too dense.
I'll do it in size 6, and then I'll do the color work in size 7.
Yeah.
And I'll knit the smallest size, which is supposed to be 37.5 inches. It's meant to be worn with 6 to 8 inches of positive
and it has,
ease.
the pattern has,
you know what, I'm going to show it because, let's see if this works, the iPad. So this is Isabel Kramer's, so I think this is, I hope it works out perfect, that the color work at the top will be with the hand spun, and then
yeah, I think it will work out.
Yeah, and then I'll be happy to use up the rest of this cone.
Yeah, so you can get another one.
Yeah, so I can get another one, and I'm sure that I'm gonna have lots of this left over.
Yeah.
I might do some, you know, a little detail on the cuffs,
yeah,
and
you totally
the body.
should. I don't know about below because there's so much happening up the top.
Yeah, but
I think,
maybe just the cuffs.
yeah, and then you'll probably still have some left over, but you know, it could be used for a hat or something too.
Hat, or even mittens if we can improve on the mittens.
If we can make them the same size.
So yeah, so I think I'm going to cast this on tonight. Actually, it's Anna's birthday, March 21st. It would be nice if I had made some progress by then, wouldn't it? Because we're actually lucky enough, we're planning to be able to be together for her birthday.
Yeah.
So so that's all my knitting really. I do have another couple of the sweater for my mom, as I mentioned, but it is in the works, Mommy. I will talk about that next time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I think.
So yeah, I think that's all the knitting.
That's all the knitting. That's all our life stuff during a pandemic. People are getting vaccinated, which is great.
You're getting your first vaccine on Monday.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
I'm pretty excited about that.
That's great. I will probably be in the last cohort.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're keeping safe and trying to
trying for the most part.
Trying, as I'm sure most of you are. But you know, thankful that we have this hobby. And yeah, I think until next time, I guess. I don't know. Is there anything else?
Yeah, until next time.
Wash your hands. Wash your needles.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Enjoy your hobbies.
Bye.